It's about 4 a.m. in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and you may be asking, what the hell? Why so early? Well, this is the Zenfone 7 Pro. Yep, now they've got a Pro and a non-Pro version. But this launch happened in Taiwan. That's why we cannot really share much about the device, besides how it looks, the specs, and pricing. So let's go ahead. But hey, don't worry. If you want to watch the full review, just be sure to subscribe and hit the bell, enable all notifications. You know what to do. It'll come on September 1st. So, Zenfone 7 Pro. The specs. The display is a 6.67 inches Full HD plus 20:9 AMOLED display which runs at 90 Hz plus a 200 Hz touch sampling rate. Also, the screen has a 1 millisecond response time and covers 92% of the front of the device. Also, it can display up to 110% of the DCI-P3 color gamut. Delta E on this one is below 1. It has Gorilla Glass 6. It gets up to 700 nits APL, which is average picture level, basically when all pixels are lit, which is not the same as the 1000 nits peak level brightness. Now, this is the time where we're gonna start seeing the differences between the Pro and the non-Pro version. The Pro has only one variant with 8 and 256 gigs of UFS 3.1 storage. The non-Pro comes in two variants, a 6 or 8 gigs of RAM plus 128 gigs of UFS 3.1 storage. However, both of them have microSD slot for expansion. We also have a Snapdragon 865 Plus on the Pro version, and guess what? The common regular, but not that much different, 865 for the non-Pro. What about cameras then? Well, there are three this time. The main one is a 64 megapixel IMX686 from Sony, which has a wide lens with an f1.8 aperture plus OIS and PDAF. The second one has an 8 megapixel sensor with OIS plus a 3x zoom telephoto lens, which also, of course, goes up to 12x for hybrid zoom. And last but not least, we've got a 12 megapixel sensor for the ultra-wide camera, which has a field of view of 113 degrees. The sensor, once again, is a Sony, but it's an IMX363, which is much bigger than the one that they used last year on the Zenfone 6. This one also has autofocus, PDAF at that, plus dual pixels, and it can get that focus as close as 4 centimeters. Now, you may be wondering, what happened with the non-Pro version? Well, it's basically the same, exactly the same, but with no OIS on any of the cameras. That's it. As we've seen on the ROG Phone 3, this one can record up to 8K 30 FPS with OIS plus EIS, which you can deactivate if you want to, plus the now usual 4K 60. Both Pro and non-Pro versions sports a 3-mic system for improved audio capture, where you can select, for example, to gather more sound coming from the back or from the front of the phone, which you will see on the full review once again on September 1st. But that's not it about the cameras, because the motor has been much improved, mostly like 2 times as much. The Zenfone 6 had 49 cables, which equal to 49 signals that they had to carry. Now the Zenfone 7 has 110 signals, which translated to an FPC, basically a flexible printed circuit. This time then, the motor is 40% smaller and has 2.2 times more torque. They've also improved the amount of flips that you can do, which goes up to 200,000. This equates to 100 flips per day for 5 years. It can hold up to 35 kilograms this way before breaking. And yeah, you have the safety feature as last year. Time for battery capacity. It's 5000 milliamps hour, same one as last year, but now it supports PD 3.0, which means it supports 30 watts charging with the charger that comes in the box. Now we can go from 0 to 60% in 34 minutes compared to the 57 minutes that it took with the Zenfone 6. And you can go from 0 to 100% in 93 minutes compared to the 154 minutes that it took on the Zenfone 6. Once again, as seen on the ROG Phone 3, you got your charging limits. So now you can limit it up to 10 watts for slow charging and 34% reduction in the phone's temperature. Plus you can set a limit, for example, to 80 or 90% instead of 100, so the phone doesn't charge to its fullest all the time. And it even has scheduled charging. So you can basically match it with your alarms for it to go to that desired 100%. It'll basically stay at about 80%, and then at the last minutes, it'll just ramp up to 100. Yep, we've come to the most important part of the video, prices. Well, we cannot release at this time the prices for the global launch because, once again, this is being launched in Taiwan, but you can always use a currency calculator. So the 7 Pro costs 27,990 NTD, which is Taiwan dollars or TWD. And the most basic version of the 7, the non-Pro version, will cost you 21,999 TWD or NTD or Taiwan dollars. So that's it for now. Sorry for not being able to show you much more about the device, but trust me, ASUS has done a lot of things right with this one, especially on software. As usual, our social networks are linked down below. Plus, you know what to do with the bell and subscribe and all of that. I'm Nicolás Fishman. I'll be seeing you in the next one.